I expected the outcome of the rape case between Busola Dakolo and Fatoyinbo'S Daddy Freeze. Daddy Freeze, the controversial OAP, has reacted to the dismissed suit filed by photographer Busola Dakolo against the senior pastor of the Commonwealth of Zion Assembly, Pastor Fatoyinbo'S. According to Daddy Freeze, in an interview with HipTv, he stated that he was expecting the outcome because of lack of evidence.
I would say it was expected because if you come out to level such allegations against someone, you might as well come with evidence. I'm not swayed by emotions and sentiments. I believe in facts. Yes, it was 20 years ago. Do I believe that she should have a story and she should believe in her own story? Yes. But if you mention somebody's name, you put that person at risk of losing their career, losing their livelihood, and so many other things. So you must be able to prove it, because even though I have daughters who could be put in harm's way because of molestation, I also have sons who could be accused falsely. So I've got to balance the narrative very carefully. And in a balance of probabilities, it didn't quite look like she could win it, in my opinion. Me being as honest as I possibly can.
Daddy Freeze went further, saying he has shown keen interest in this case because he's against falsehood and relationship manipulation in the church.
Because it involves a pastor, and I'm one of the people who believe firmly in religion being used to manipulate people. So anything religion is something that would raise red flags for me and have my antennas all going. But at the same time, my battle with churches and pastors is doctrinal above personal. And if it has to be personal, it has to go through the proper channel. So I would fight with Fatoyinbo'S, for instance, over a doctrinal matter. But if this matter is not a doctrinal matter, because if you look at the doctrine says something entirely about cases like this. So here's the thing. I'm against falsehood in the church. I'm against religious manipulation. And since the person involved was a pastor, there was no way I was going to remain silent on a case like that.
When asked if the judiciary was compromised in this case, he had this to say.
In this Busola's case, I wouldn't say the judiciary was compromised. In all fairness, let's be fair. I've had issues with judges. I have a case where I do not believe the judge is being fair. However, and I also have a case where I have quite a few cases myself. I have one where the judge was fair. I have another one where I can see that the judge is fair. I have one that I can see that the judge is clearly biased. Now, just as they're good and bad policemen, they're good and bad radio presenters, they're good and bad pastors, they're good and bad doctors, they're also good and bad judges. Can I fault this particular judgment? I don't think so. If I were to fault this judgment, I'll have to fault it emotionally. Would this affect other people coming forward with their stories? Maybe. I encourage people to come out with their stories, but I don't encourage people without evidence to come forward, because a lot of things happen in people's minds that are a contrast from what's going on in reality. And the scriptures, the laws are all clear. Things must be fair. You must hear from both sides. And I'm sure before the court came up with this verdict, the court heard from both sides. So if you're a woman out there, do speak. If you have evidence, go all the way. If you don't have evidence, say your story. But make sure you don't call someone's name when you don't have enough evidence, or you might end up being sued.
Daddy Freeze went on to add his voice to the police brutality happening every day in our society.
Yes, I know there's some good police officers trying very hard to uplift the image of the Nigerian police force. However, I don't think a policeman has the right to check your phone when you've not been brought in as a suspect in a case. The police just randomly stops you and wants to check your phone. Like, come on. I don't think I think the police should be free and fair of prejudice and bias. Because a young man has dreads or tattoos doesn't make him a Yahoo boy. Because a young lady is wearing a mini skirt doesn't make her a prostitute. We've got to be very careful with stereotyping. And the police force also needs an overhaul with regards to how much a police officer earns at the end of the month in Nigeria. Because if they're not well paid, the tendency would be to try to make money off the citizenry. It's hard for you to pay a police officer who's supposed to put his life on the line for Nigeria a meager, non-regular salary and expect him not to want to manipulate the system to get an extra buck here or there.